Hello and welcome to Read Through the Word. Today is Saturday, December 28th, and I hope you have enjoyed some rest, some vacation, some break, and it's really great to be here with you today. The lesson for today is called The Four Winds, and the key verse, Revelation 7:1. Then I saw four angels standing at the four corners of the earth, holding back the four winds, so they did not blow on the earth or the sea or even on any tree. So, four winds is our key words for our lesson today. Revelation is filled with a lot of stuff, a lot of imagery, symbolism, events, and there are a lot of interpretations for those events. But I want to focus on something that I feel like is kind of an overarching theme and something that no matter what is going on throughout Revelation, we know this thing to be true. So let's get into it. So I'm referencing back to some things that I thought was a really cool connection, a lesson I taught on August 31st. And this totally popped out at me when I was reading in Revelation. And the first I want to talk about is the word for wind. And it means wind or breath or spirit. It can mean one or all of those things. And that word, that Hebrew word is ruach. And you might have heard me talk about that before. The earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered the deep waters. And the spirit, ruach, of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. So at the beginning of at the beginning of God's story to us, ruach, spirit, breath, wind. At the end of his story to us in Revelation, ruach, right? The four winds. Again, spirit, breath, wind. All right, so hold that in your mind. This idea of ruach, okay? Now we're going to talk about another part, the four. So we talked about the winds. Let's talk about the number four. So there were on a Tallit, or a prayer shawl, which is a symbol of God's covering or protection, there's four tassels, or Tzitzit, as they're called. And the corners of a prayer shawl are called, each one is called a Kanaf. It's a corner. Another word for that is wing. And why four? Well, Deuteronomy 22:12. The command, you must put four tassels on the hem of the cloak with which you cover yourself on the front, back, and sides. So God gave the command, four corners, four tassels, four, right? In Exodus 19:4, God said, "You have seen what I did to the Egyptians. You know how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself." Again, that word wings, similar to the word for corner, kanaf. Exodus 6:6-7. Say therefore to the Israelites, I'm the Lord, and I will free you from the burden of the Egyptians and deliver you from slavery to them. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great acts of judgment. I will take you as my people, and I will be your God. You shall know that I am the Lord your God, who has freed you from the burdens of the Egyptians. So when Israel, when they would put on this prayer shawl, which was literally when they would cover their head, especially seen like a protection, a covering from God, with four corners, four wings, four tassels, four reminders of the way that God delivered them. So this is about deliverance. That's also a symbol that people would think of with the prayer shawl. God's deliverance, right? Out of Egypt on eagle's wings. Also in Isaiah and Ezekiel, let's read these. So in the prophecies and judgments in Isaiah and Ezekiel, they say this, Isaiah 11:12, he will raise a signal for the nations and will assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. There's the word for. Ezekiel 37:9, then he said to me, speak a prophetic message to the winds, son of man. Speak a prophetic message and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Come, O breath, from the four winds. Breathe into these dead bodies so they may live again. And Ezekiel 7:2, you, O mortal, thus says the Lord to the land of Israel, the end has come upon the four corners of the land. So much there. 4 is definitely a symbolic number and symbolizes something. It symbolizes a command God, part of a command God gave Israel, that on this prayer shawl, on this Tallit, these 4 tzitzit, these 4 tassels would be on 4 corners or 4 wings. And he delivered his people. He delivered his people on eagle's wings. And not only that, as we looked at some of those prophetic verses, he's going to gather people from the 4 corners of the earth. And he is going to call upon the 4 winds to breathe life into dead bones. And he is talking too about the end that will come upon the 4 corners of the land. So this prayer shawl idea, as a covering, a picture of a covering and protection from God, that symbol embodies all of those things that we just talked about. So from the beginning to the end of time, God is saying, I am your covering. I am going to gather my people from the 4 corners of the earth, and to the 4 winds breathe life into my people. I'm going to remind you how I delivered you once, and I will deliver you again. And so no matter what is going on in the book of Revelation, and there is a lot, keep in mind this beautiful overarching theme or picture, this prayer shawl that God gave as a symbol for us to remember. These 4 corners, God holding us under under his wings. God's protection like eagle's wings surrounding us from beginning to end. And no matter what happens at the end, and no matter how all of these things from Revelation play out, this is true. God is our covering. God is our protection. God delivers us on eagle's wings. God gives us a visual symbol. I know people who actually have bought in prayer shawls and sometimes put them around their home, or even sometimes wear them as a way to visually remember the ruach, the breath, the Spirit of God coming from all corners of the earth, breathing into all corners of the earth from beginning to end. It's a beautiful reminder that God is our protector and our covering, that he gathers his people from the 4 corners, breathes life, ruach, spirit, breath, life into the ends of the earth. And we can remember this no matter what comes. God is our covering and protector. Well, we'll see you next year, friends, and have a great day. Thanks for joining us on Read Through the Word.